Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
I have several stories that happened in various states throughout the Southwest. I will start with the least scary ones first. First one. Driving alone around 3 a.m. from Klein's Corners to Santa Fe. Be aware of cattle mutilations in the area in the past. See weird lights in the distance in some valley. Speed up and turn radio onto Christian music. Used to be Christian, not anymore. See extremely bright lights in a random ass field. Look at street lights that light up several acres set up like giant floodlights. See unmarked black vans in random fields. Speed as fast as fuck out of there to get to I-25 intersection. Still do not know what the fuck was happening there to this day. Second story. Riding in a car with some people on a deserted road in northern New Mexico north of Santa Fe. Going through some mountainous areas and trying to enjoy the scenery. Looking out the window and notice some black birds flying away as if something spooked them up ahead. Continue to look out at the landscape. Notice some odd-looking rocks up ahead. As we approach the area where the rocks are, we slow down since there is a curve. Look up and see a reptilian-looking creature hiding behind rocks. Literally blink and think to myself, what the fuck was that? Did I really just see what I think I did? As soon as I blink, it is not there. I was not drinking or smoking anything and never mentioned it to anyone else, but I know what I saw. Okay, I am going to continue with some more stories I have. This particular one was told to me from someone who was friends with the person that experienced this. Maybe not in Apache Junction, but in the superstitions there is some crazy shit that has gone down, which I will explain. Backstory on the Superstition Mountains east of Phoenix is that when this was a colony of Nuevo España, New Spain, the Spanish found a large cache of gold there. The local Apache Indians would often raid the Spanish settlements, so the Spanish and the Pima Indians would send in scouts to look before they sent in to get the gold. Legends say that many times the mutilated remains of people would be found in and around the mountains. Fast forward to the 1840s when this was Mexico. Rich family from Sonora buys a land grant to mine the area for gold. Begin to find large amounts of gold in the mountains. About a month later, the Apache attacked and killed most of the Mexican settlers in the region. Fast forward to Arizona Territory in the 1880s. A German immigrant, would later be referred to as Dutch, hence the name Lost Dutchman Mine, finds a huge chest of Spanish gold and writings in Spanish explaining the location of the lost mine. He begins mining it, and as he does, he gets so much gold that he has enough money to live off of for the rest of his life, so he buries the rest and hides the location of the mine until he is on his deathbed. The legend of the Lost Dutchman's Mine is well known to anyone who lives in Arizona or is from here. Fast forward to the 1970s. A local rancher who is also a state legislator decides to go searching for the gold. Apparently he was very wealthy and he paid for about 8 to 10 men to help him with finally finding the mine. The men set up camp somewhere about a mile from the location of the mine. They are armed to the teeth with guns and ammo since the area has lots of crazy-ass animals like javelinas, bobcats and mountain lions. Each man carries either a .357 revolver or a shotgun with them at all times. During the night, they each take turns on sentinel duty. After about the second day, they begin to find some small traces of gold, so they know they are close. The next day they are exploring an arroyo, dry river bed, and notice some weird tracks. They have 3 points and look like claws on them and are a little larger than humans. They think someone is playing with them, or it is a large chuckwalla since some of them can get very big. That night they all hear what sounds like a woman screaming in the distance. They all think it must be a mountain lion. Anyone who has spent any time in the desert and has heard them knows they sound like that. They ignore it but still stay more alert that night since they think one is in the area. The next day they see below their camp the same strange prints that have 3 points and claws on the end of them. The camp is set up on a high ledge where they would have the best view and vantage point of anything coming near them. At this point they know something is watching them, and the rancher, senator who is paying for the expedition has more guns sent in, and from what I was told has it flown by helicopter. 2 additional men are there who will both be on guard during the night, and they brought in some high-powered flashlights. The next day they find several gold nuggets that were worth about $1,000 each, so everyone in the camp is excited that they are very close. The evening approaches and 2 of the men are late getting into the camp. The other men start to worry that they got lost and decide to start looking for them. As the men set up looking for the other 2 lost men, they spot them in the distance running up to them at full speed. Out of breath, they tell them that they heard some kind of weird growling noise coming from one of the small canyons in the mountain, and they think they found a cave. About 5 of the men go and find the cave and document where it is, but do not enter it since at this point it is almost completely dark. As they shine their flashlights near the entrance, they notice huge scratch marks as if some large animals clawed into the sandstone. They begin to get a little freaked out and head back to the relative safety of the camp since it is up on a ledge. On the way back they hear the same growling noise and they know something is following them. They reach the camp and tell the others about the situation. Once back at the camp, one of the men who was supposedly ex-military tells everyone in the camp to shut the fuck and be quiet. He was a Vietnam veteran from what I was told, and he knew when they were being ambushed. The men in the camp hear what sounds like 4 or 5 men running in the canyon below them. They turn their spotlights on and see what they say was bipedal beings running around below the camp trying to find a way up on the ledge. They all begin to panic and not know what the hell is happening, so they open fire on the creatures. The rancher, senator and the Vietnam veteran go down a little lower to get a better view and a better shot. As they do, they see these creatures and notice they are about 4 to 5 feet tall and are definitely reptilian. The man who told me this said that the other men at the time thought they were some sort of giant lizards that were not scientifically documented. The Vietnam veteran falls down the cliff as he is aiming a sniper rifle, and these creatures literally shred him apart. The rancher senator unloads 4 of the hollow .357 bullets into the creatures. 2 of them fall down, and as they do they let out a horrible scream that was almost deafening. They said that the air pressure changed as they screamed, as if the atmosphere changed when they did. The rancher senator, who is now horrified that his buddy was literally just ripped apart, shoots another bullet into the last creature. It begins to scream and stumble almost as if it was going to lunge at him. He decides he would rather save the last bullet to shot through his skull if he has to, instead of being ripped apart. As the creature got to him, he pointed the gun to his head, and one of the other men with a shotgun shot it, and it ran off in the canyon screaming. The other men leave the next day and swear not to talk about what happened until they can figure out a rational explanation. The men later agree that a mountain lion got the man who was killed and report it as a mountain lion attack. That was told to me by someone who was a well-known lawyer in the valley back in the day and would not lie. He said he knew some of the men personally and they would never make up a story like that. There are lots of real disappearances in and around those mountains each year. Even the Arizona State Park Service has acknowledged that there are more than usual amounts of people who disappear in the area, and many of them are never found again and cannot be explained.
Be on a road trip with my dad and my sister. I was like 8 years old. Dad drives through a deserted field, or a sandy hill of some sort. I can't really remember. We stopped to take a pee. After I was done, I noticed that there were bones buried in the sand. At that time, bones looked cool to my childish eyes, so I picked a few of them up. They were small, like cat tear small. I noticed that there were bones everywhere I watched. I ran a bit further and examined the soil. Bones. They were really white like bones normally are. Dad was done peeing, so we had to go on. He didn't let me take any of the bones because they were too dirty. The only time I have been in the desert.
Be driving with some friends in Oklahoma on an abandoned bridge. Going to try to scare some people in the car with another bro since there is nothing else to do in that horrible shithole. Start driving across a long-ass bridge and get through it to the other one that was supposedly haunted. Stop my car in the middle of the bigger and shorter bridge and turn off the engine and everyone gets out. Me and another friend make a plan that we will scare the others when they get back in the car. As we walk to the car, me and another friend look at the train tracks below us beneath the bridge. We see something running way too fast to be a human, but it looks like it is on 2 feet. It was too dark to really make out what it was. Start to legitimately get freaked out now. Look at my friend and he saw it too. We both agree to fuck scaring them and get out asses the hell out of there. As I get to my car, I put the keys into the ignition and the car won't start. Everyone including my other friend thinks I am joking, but I am not. The car for some freak reason really won't start. Finally, after 4 or 5 tries, it starts. As it starts, my headlights come on and one of the passengers in the back, who is a big guy, starts screaming like a little girl. I ask what the fuck his problem is. He says he saw a robbed figure that looked like a mage, according to him, walking to the car. I do not see it but put the car in drive and drive the fuck out of there. As we leave the bridge, there is a turn to go onto the main road, and as we went past it we all saw a pair of red eyes glowing. I admit it was probably a raccoon or some kind of animal, but it still scared the shit out of us all. Never went back there at night.
Used to live in Vegas. Go to west outskirts of Vegas. This was before that bit of land got contracted out and fenced up. The view is amazing. Decide to look around me. Pretty dark, which is odd because it's still in that zone where it's never fully night. See what is best described as an 8 to 10 foot tall scarecrow with massive shoulders and pointed head about 100 meters away. Like it was wearing full-on triple K regalia. Whatever, I'm hallucinating, or it's a scarecrow. Look back to the city. Fucking baller. Here's something snap in the distance, silent otherwise. Odd because it's not that far from houses. Look behind me. It's closer, maybe 90 meters away. Whatever the fuck it was moved its arm and pointed at me. No wind. Nope. Also, went back the next day. No scarecrow, nothing. Just dirt.
Be hiking in the desert in Arizona. Enjoying fresh air and watching the animals and just enjoying the vast open space and solitude where you can really think and come alive. Hiking by myself down in a small canyon and notice where either a bobcat or coyote have been eating the fruit that fall off of the saguaros in spring. Have camera with me, and in my mind I think it would be cool to take some photos of a bobcat or coyote since I often see them, so I am on the lookout. Sun begins to set and the sky looks amazing. Pro tip: Arizona has the most amazing sunsets in the world. So I am looking at the sky begin to slowly change from a bright blue to a yellowish orange and then a pink and violet blue color. Still enough light out to see the trail, so I head back to the trailhead. At this point I am about a mile from it and no one else that I am aware of is on the trail. I notice some petroglyphs and at first I thought it was some graffiti some asshole spray painted out in the desert. On closer inspection it is much too old and it is obvious it has been here for at least a couple of 100 years. It is not uncommon to find ancient petroglyphs in various places since the Native Americans left them behind. Get back up on the trail because I do not want to damage any of the native plants, so I start walking back. About 10 minutes later this huge crow lands in the middle of the path. I walk a bit closer and it does not move, and I am thinking it is really cool that it is not afraid of me. As I get closer, I notice the black feathers have a purple shimmer to them as the last bit of the sunlight hits them. The bird literally is looking at me dead in the eye, and it is almost as if it is looking deep within me and down to my soul. I felt no fear at all, and in fact I felt very comfortable and relaxed. In a flash in my mind, I literally could see the area from the past where the Native Americans were camping, and I could hear them singing and dancing. I very specifically noticed the way they were dressed, and I could tell it was not how some of the tribes dress today in ceremonial dress. It was more realistic and looked more handmade. As soon as I saw them, I presume it was one of the older elders who saw me and waved at me and smiled. As soon as he did, it was over, and it all happened in a split second, but it felt as if time slowed down and even stopped. I know it sounds like a typical bullshit drunk Indian vision story, but it was very real for me. I am part Cherokee and I have never had anything like that happen to me. I do not know if it was a vision quest or what, but I want to know. If there are any Native Americans on the board. Real ones. Not the wannabe bullshit I am a 1/100th Indian ones. Then I would like to know what you think. I have talked to some Navajo friends and they have told me it was a vision of a past life I had which I could actually believe. Anyway, that is my last one for now. Unless this thread survives the next day or two, I will post the last two.
Be me around 20. Visiting family in New Mexico. Decide to visit Roswell. I was obsessed with UFOs and aliens as a kid. The child in me needed to see it. Speeding on the desert road back to Las Cruces at night. Realize how awesome the sky looks, so many stars and clear. Pull over to the side of the road. Lay down on hood of car and just observe the sky for an hour. Probably one of the most calming and satisfying things I ever did. I noticed shitloads of planes in the sky, some of them just doing weird shit like speeding up and slowing down. And the overwhelming silence.
My brother and I drove to this place at night long ago. Called the Devil's Throat outside Vegas, far from Overton. We are driving and his car lights are faded and dim. Keep seeing these strange shadows, objects. Wanting to piss my pants. See blue and purple lights, small like little lasers. Could not be the helicopter's lights because it is closing time. That night was the 1999 Hector mine earthquake. Smelled like burnt rock for a little while. I saw what I think was plasma shoot straight up from the hole. We run like mad and drive the fuck home. Never again. Also, Lake Mead has the dead volcano, Fortification Hill. When the big earthquake hits Cali, that shit will come back to life as the ones in the Mojave. Nature, you scary.
Live in LA. Decide to take a day off from work and go with GF to a national park. It's Joshua Tree. Even hotter than forecast. Daytime, see cars on the road now and then. Find camping site. We forgot the tent. Fuck it, well, sleep in the car. Greater than 104 Fahrenheit outside the car. Even hotter inside. Roll windows down part way. Sun goes down. Temperature stays the same. Can't see a foot outside the window, only stars if I try nothing else. Darkness and heat keep pressing in. I have this terrible feeling that I do not want to sleep with the windows down. That there's something waiting. Put shoes and shirt back on. Jump to front seat, roll windows up, start the car in AC. Hear a crash near the dumpster for the camping area. Shit, we have to pass the dumpster to get back in the road. Start driving the fuck out of there. Bad hits my windshield as I passed the dumpster. Made me jump. GF wondering why I was on edge. Tell her to go back to sleep, I'll drove us back home. Not going back there anytime soon.
This is another story which was told to me by some people in the Arizona state government who would have nothing to gain from making a story up like this and instead would have a lot to lose due to people ridiculing them. The story goes as follows. About 10 years ago, this person and his wife were in the backwoods area in a very isolated region not far from Sedona. They were planning on camping in the area and were looking for a nice place to set up camp. They hiked about 3 or 4 miles into the back country and were on government lands that belonged either to the Bureau of Land Management or the U.S. Forest Service. Anyway, as they reached a clearing in a scenic spot, they stopped and started to make camp. As they did, they both felt very uneasy, as if someone was watching them. The feeling began to get so intense they both decided to pack back up and hike a little further. As they did, they came to an area where they heard lots of people talking, but no one was around. While they were walking, all of a sudden out of nowhere a large tank was sitting right in front of them, running with about 20 military personnel running around in a frenzy. Curiously, they approached the soldiers and asked what was going on and if it was some kind of exercise. Immediately they both had automatic rifles shoved into their faces, and a barrage of questions came from an angry man in uniform. He very aggressively asked,
"How the hell did you end up here, and what are you doing here?"
The man threatened them with being arrested, and they both explained they were simply hiking and they came across this scene. The man explained he was a state official and well known and demanded to know what was happening. The military man, still with a rifle pointed at them, said,
"This is none of your goddamned business, and if you want to go back to your lives, you better get the fuck out of here right now."
So they both quickly packed up as quickly as they could and left. Now here is something that is strange. The man told me that on the military guy's shoulder was a symbol of an upside-down triangle with a snake in it. On the outside of the triangle was the earth. The patch said, "Special Forces," and also had some kind of very strange writing he described as being like hieroglyphics. He later told me it reminded him of the symbols that they said they found at Roswell by the witnesses there. He said the tank was most likely an Abrams tank and that it did say, U.S. Army, on the side. He later asked someone in the State National Guard, and he was told by that person that it was classified information that they did not know much about. But it had to do some kind of underground base and testing in the area. Once again, this is only from what I was told, and I did not witness it myself, but when I was told the story it resonated as true to me, since the person telling me had nothing to gain from it, and I do not think they would want to make up such a story to bring unwanted attention onto themselves.
Used to live in Deep South, Devil's Armpit, Texas. Friends and I had nothing to do but go derp around Ena Desert. One night be us just chillin' up in a mesquite tree. Because, there be javelinas out here. Friend starts saying he hears a sound. We all start to listen. Suddenly we hear a blood-curdling scream. My 3 friends scream.
Ay, griega, Dios mío.
And cross themselves. What?
Es la Llorona, Ron, corren.
They all run the fuck off, leaving me, still just assuming it was just someone messing with us. Be about a mile away from home. On a trail about to cross a small creek. Hear the same scream. Nope, nope, nope. Run like Forrest Gump, whole way home.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.